Hi, my name is Pat, and this is my channel, Book Chat with Pat, and I'm glad that you're here. Today, I'm going to be bringing you episode 5 in my series on books I loved to teach. And today, I'm going to be speaking about Pete Hamill's novel, Snow in August. Pete Hamill was a journalist, an essayist, and a novelist. He was born in 1935 to Irish immigrants from Belfast, Northern Ireland, and he grew up in Brooklyn, New York. In his long career as a journalist, he wrote columns for such papers as the New York Post, the New York Daily News, New York Newsday, and the Village Voice, where he captured especially New York City politics, sports, and crime. He also published 10 novels, 2 collections of short stories, and several works of nonfiction, including 2 memoirs. He died at the age of 85 in 2020. I taught Hamill's novel, Snow in August, in my contemporary fiction course, which was a course for seniors in high school. This is a novel that is set in post-World War II Brooklyn. It tells the story of 11-year-old Michael Devlin and the unlikely friendship that he develops with a local rabbi, Judah Hirsch, who is a refugee from Prague. Michael is a Catholic schoolboy and an altar boy. He's a very good student, and he's a devoted son to his mother, an immigrant from Ireland. Michael's father was killed in the Battle of the Bulge in the last winter of the war. Michael's passions in life are baseball, specifically the Brooklyn Dodgers, and comic books, especially the Captain Marvel stories. Rabbi Judah Hirsch has settled in America all alone after the war, and his story is gradually revealed during the course of the novel. Michael is on his way to serve Mass one Saturday morning, where he's serving as an altar boy, and he's walking in the middle of an incredible blizzard. As he's on his way to church, he hears a voice calling out for help. And of course, Michael stops and investigates. Well, it turns out that this is the rabbi, and he's calling on Michael to come in and help him because it's the Sabbath and he needs someone to turn on the lights for him. Well, Michael doesn't really understand any of this, but because he is who he is, he goes and responds to the cry for help, and he helps the rabbi. And this begins their friendship. Michael, after he leaves the rabbi, finds himself continually thinking about this man who cried out for help, and he ends up going back to visit the rabbi again and offering his assistance. And he becomes what the rabbi calls his Shabbos Goy, someone who is not Jewish, who can help him on the Sabbath to do things that he himself can't do. And this begins a most unlikely friendship. In the course of their friendship, Michael teaches the rabbi how to improve his English. And the rabbi teaches Michael all about the history of his people in Prague. And he also starts to teach Michael how to speak Yiddish. Michael is drawn to the mysterious sounds of this language. He's kind of fascinated by language anyway. Remember, he loves to read the Captain Marvel comic books, in which an ordinary boy, a boy much like himself, Billy Batson, is able to turn into Captain Marvel, the world's mightiest man, simply by uttering the magic word Shazam. So the rabbi teaches Michael all about his homeland and about Judaism and about Jewish mysticism. He pulls Michael into the incredible stories of old Prague, where Michael is held spellbound by the stories. And amazingly, Michael pulls the rabbi into the world of American baseball, and specifically the world of the Brooklyn Dodgers of Ebbets Field. The boy and the rabbi bond further over baseball. The rabbi loves everything about the game of baseball because it represents to him all that is wonderful about this new country where he has sought refuge. As the novel progresses, we learn that this is also the season where Jackie Robinson breaks the color barrier and makes his debut with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Robinson looms large as a real-life hero throughout the novel, and the rabbi has a special sense of identification with Robinson, as he too knows what it is to be considered the other, the outsider, and the victim of prejudice and racism. The central conflict in the novel arises when Michael witnesses an act of horrific violence, when a local teenaged thug and gang member beats up a Jewish storekeeper, beating him almost to death. Michael witnesses this. The thug knows that Michael has witnessed this act of violence, and he threatens Michael and makes very clear that he had better keep his mouth shut. As the novel progresses, we see Michael change from a very young kid. He's a little kid at the beginning who believes in superheroes like Captain Marvel. And as the novel progresses through a number of horrible events that threaten him, his mother, and the rabbi, Michael learns about the harsher realities, the harsher realities of the world in which he lives, where our magical heroes do not ultimately appear to save the day. Or do they? Hamill does a masterful job of combining reality and fantasy in this novel, the ordinary and the miraculous, in an astonishing resolution. It was a great novel to teach because it's a coming-of-age story. It has vibrant characters with whom it's easy to identify, and it deals with important themes, timeless themes, like the need to have heroes in our lives, the effects of racism and prejudice in society, the importance of taking a stand and speaking out in the face of ignorance and hatred, and the need for the miraculous in ordinary life. My students would write about all of these themes, using evidence from the text to illustrate their ideas and support their arguments. And our final project was to create a comic or a graphic novel in small groups in which a hero confronts a villain, much like the superhero comics that fed Michael Devlin's imagination. They had to create a storyboard which outlined their stories, their characters, the central conflict, and the central theme that they were trying to communicate. And then they created the actual comic. In some years, we created the comics on paper by drawing and inking and writing the story out on paper. In the last years that I was teaching, we created the comics digitally by using a storyboard program that our school made available to us. Each group created their own graphic novel, and they had to include various components from the novel, including some characters who appear later in the story. They had to include some quotations from the novel. They had to include vocabulary that we studied from the novel. But they created their own conflicts and their own resolutions to their stories. These were always really fun projects, and they were delightful demonstrations, again, of my students' understanding of the themes we were presented with in the novel. So that's a little bit about another book that I loved to teach, Pete Hamill's Snow in August. As always, I thank you for watching. I hope that you're doing well. I'll speak with you again soon. Take care.